Hey guys, so in this video I'll be going over the pros and cons of subscribe and save for your Amazon vendor account and whether you should enable it for your vendor account. So for those of you who are new here, my name is Benjamin Bolshinsky. I used to work at Amazon in the vendor management team for almost 3 years, and now I run a company called Vendor Launch where we work with Amazon vendors to increase their purchase orders. So without further ado, should you enable subscribe and save, also called SNS, for your Amazon vendor account? So I'll be going through the reasons as to why you should and shouldn't. Number one, the major benefit of SNS is that it drives repeat customer sales and orders. Right? People subscribe to a product, they then get recurring deliveries of that product, and each delivery counts as a new sale, right? And so oftentimes you might get customers buy it, subscribe every month, every 2 months. And so these are instances where the sale goes to you, not to your competitor, right? When a customer subscribes to your product, they're subscribing to orders every month, every week, whatever frequency they choose. And that's every single time that you get the sale, not your competitors. So it drives repeat customer sales and orders, which obviously improves your top line sales result, drives more purchase orders, and increases the size of your Amazon business. The second benefit to subscribe and save is it increases the LTV of each customer, so the lifetime value of each customer. So when you advertise your products on Amazon ads, you're effectively paying to acquire a customer, right? And so if you're acquiring a customer that then subscribes to your product, you're generating significantly more LTV than if you were just to acquire a customer that purchased your product once off, right? The cost of advertising really doesn't change. So for example, say it costs you, on average $3, a cost per acquisition of $3, so $3 in ad costs to acquire a customer. In one scenario, you might have that customer purchase your product once off $20 and that's it. Maybe that works. But then say in another scenario where that customer then repeat orders that product every month for the next 6 months. So that's 6 orders. So you've paid the same amount in advertising costs, but on one hand, you've made, say, $20 one-time purchase value, but on the other hand, you might have made $120 in repeat orders, right? Retention is what drives any business, having repeat customers, and subscribe and save really helps do just that. The third benefit, I would say, of enabling subscribe and save is that Amazon loves it. So Amazon will actually prioritize subscribe and save products when it comes to purchase orders and inbounding. This coming from someone who used to work at Amazon, right? When Amazon has deal events, say Prime Day, Black Friday, there is very often a shortage of capacity in their warehouses, in their appointments, in their ability to accept inbound shipments, right? And every single time Amazon will prioritize a subscribe and save product in the PO over a product that's not on SNS, subscribe and save, right? Because they don't want to lose customer trust. And a customer that's subscribed to an ongoing, to a product for ongoing orders and ongoing deliveries has divulged a lot of trust to Amazon, right? And so Amazon will do anything to avoid losing that trust. It forms the backbone and the ethos of the company. So Amazon will prioritize subscribe and save products when it comes to raising POs and inbounding, which means if your competitors don't have SNS, whereas you have enabled to subscribe and save, guess what product and what account will be prioritized. Then this takes me to point number 4. Amazon will push products on subscribe and save to more customers. Again, similar point, like subscribe and save is one of the programs within Amazon retail. They have KPIs, it's something they push, it's something that differentiates Amazon from other retailers, right? And so all things considered equal, if your product is on subscribe and save, more likely than not, Amazon will be seen and purchased by more customers. Again, I don't believe there's any concrete data evidence, and Amazon will never obviously publish this. But if you think about this logically, having worked at Amazon before, like if a product is on Subscribe and Save, it'll probably rank more, it'll be prioritized, it'll be in stock more of the time. It will generally just drive more sales and obviously like customer glance views and clicks. This takes me to point number 4. So this comes to like promotional funding. So one of the issues with Vendor Central is when you set up promotions, you provide Amazon with funding, right, for promotional activity. Now, obviously, Amazon being an independent retailer, they can set and will set their own pricing for the products they sell, right? Because they, have bought the products from you, they sell it, they get to maintain control over pricing. The issue that then presents with promotional funding is that sometimes you might fund a promotion, say, $10 per unit, $100 product, you fund it. The problem is sometimes Amazon will pocket at least a portion of that funding, particularly if they're trying to hit their margin or their net PPM goals, right? So you might be funding a product, say $10 per unit for Prime Day. Amazon might pocket $2 and then they might pass on $8 to the customer in the form of a price discount or a promotional discount. Now you as a supplier, as the vendor, obviously that's not ideal, right? If you're funding $10 per product, you want the entirety of that $10 to be passed on to the customer, right? Like you don't want to line Amazon's pocket. You want to, you want to do a good thing for your customer, not Amazon. But that's one of the kind of downsides with, I guess, promotional funding is you never really know how much of that discount that you're offering will get passed on to the customer. This is especially an issue for lower profitability products. Amazon will prioritize NPPM over sales revenue. Now, why this is important and why this is relevant in the context of Subscribe and Save is that Subscribe and Save is perhaps one of the only, if not the only program at Amazon where 100% of the funding, obviously a supplier will fund Subscribe and Save, but 100% of the funding gets passed on to the customer. So if you're funding Subscribe and Save, Amazon don't pocket any of that money. 100% of that funding gets passed on to the customer in the form of a Subscribe and Save discount. It's usually either 5% or 10% when a customer subscribes to a product on recurring deliveries. So again, entirety of Subscribe and Save funding gets passed to the customer. So you don't, Amazon doesn't claim any of this. And I believe this might be one of the few, if not the only, like promotional trade program or kind of arrangement where this is the case. When you're funding any other promotional activity with Amazon, best deals, Prime deals, you just don't know how much Amazon will pass on to the customer. Lastly, the benefit of Subscribe and Save is that you get more accurate forecasting and sales data. So again, that if a customer subscribes to a product once a month deliveries, you can be more or less certain that you're getting a repeat order next month. So it really helps with forecasting. And so we actually find for our clients that purchase orders become a bit more consistent because Amazon's system has more of that data when it comes to forecasting in their system. And then you can also pull that data yourself in Vendor Central to obtain an idea of how much revenue you're generating through this program. Which, by the way, I would say as a ballpark figure, consumable products, you probably find 10-15% of your revenue will come from Subscribe and Save orders. So yeah, again, more accurate forecasting, sales data leads to more accurate, more consistent purchase orders, and just better kind of inventory planning and forecasting. And so this takes me to the downsides or the drawbacks for enabling Subscribe and Save. So there aren't a whole lot of downsides in my opinion. The major ones are obviously the funding. You have to fund 100% of the discount, which in my view isn't really a downside that much because again, all of that funding is being passed on to the customer. So that's not really an issue. The next downside is that some customers will abuse the discount, so they will subscribe to the product to get that 10% discount. Then after that first shipment, they will just cancel their subscription. That happens for sure. I think it's just an unavoidable kind of part of the program. So yeah, just be prepared for that. And then the third downside, this depends on your relationship with your vendor manager and with the broader retail team. But once you do enable subscribe and save, it can be difficult to withdraw from the agreement and to kind of like unwind the program. Obviously, like you need someone to cancel the agreement, the vendor manager, but also now you've got customers that are subscribed to the product, so it might cause a bit of customer friction. So yeah, it can be difficult to withdraw from the agreement. So ultimately, in summary, should you enable it? I would say yes. In pretty much like every case, the positives in my experience outweigh the benefits by a long shot. It drives more POs, more sales, more consistent ordering. Your products will perform better. Your customers will gravitate towards your products over competitors, grow the account. It's not something that Amazon, they don't really make a whole lot of money on. So yeah, it's kind of customer centric, prioritizes the customer. So I would absolutely enable it. Potentially, I would be a bit cautious if there are products which you are selling as like cases, as cartons, as big bulk products, where the customer is already buying, 6 months or a year's supply of something, then it might not make sense to enable it on that. But again, for the most part, like 100%, just go for it. It will grow your account. So that concludes the video. Let me know if you have any questions. If you're interested in bespoke, tailored consulting and training with me, an ex-Amazon employee in the vendor team, then by all means book a call using the link in the description. But otherwise, hope you have a great day and talk soon.